Good afternoon, dear viewers, and welcome to the Facebook Live of the U.S. Embassy. We would like to extend our gratitude to the American Corner in Boya, Garoua, and Douala, who are honoring by their presence to this annual tradition of information session on diversity visa. The Diversity Visa 2026, or the American Lottery, launched yesterday, 2nd October 2024, and will be current till November 5th, 2024. And we have the honor and the pleasure to receive the Consular Officer, Mr. Philip Schnorberg, who will answer our question because remember, it's an interactive session. So feel free to ask your question in the chat. And he will also give us tips and tricks to have a successful application. So welcome, Mr. Philip Schnorberg, and tell us a bit about you and what can we do to be successful.
Ok, merci beaucoup, Florence. Je m'appelle Philippe. Je suis des États-Unis, de l'État incroyable de Texas. Je suis heureux de répondre à vos questions aujourd'hui. S'il vous plaît, envoyez toutes de votre questions sur le chat de Facebook.
Merci beaucoup et sans plus tarder, nous allons vous présenter la vidéo sur la loterie américaine 2026.
Curious about the diversity visa program? Every year, approximately 55,000 diversity visas are made available to people from countries with historically low rates of immigration to the United States. The 2026 diversity visa program enrollment period will be open from October 2nd, 2024 to November 5th, 2024, when people who meet eligibility requirements can enter for a chance to apply for a U.S. immigrant visa. Before applying, visit travel.state.gov/DV for full application instructions. But here are a few of our top tips for entering the 2026 Diversity Visa Program. The only way to enter is to submit your entry at dvprogram.state.gov. When selections are made in May 2025, this site is the only way to check if you were selected. The Department of State will not contact you if you are selected. There's no fee to enter. Beware of those who claim they can improve your chances if you pay them, or who offer to complete your application for free. We encourage you to complete the Diversity Visa Program entry yourself and keep your unique confirmation number. Fraudulent visa facilitators have retained the confirmation number and then demanded more money or illegal activities in exchange for the confirmation number later. You will need your confirmation number to check whether your entry has been selected in May 2025. Only submit one entry per person, and remember to list your spouse and any unmarried children under the age of 21 in your application, even if they will not be traveling or immigrating with you. Remember, being selected for the Diversity Visa Program does not guarantee you a visa interview or a visa, but it does mean you may have the opportunity to apply for a visa. It is important to remember that anyone who has filled out the application completely and correctly during the entry period has equal chance of being selected. We suggest taking your time and filling out your own application at dvprogram.state.gov to ensure accuracy and to avoid scams. For more information about the Diversity Visa Program, visit travel.state.gov/dv.
Okay, thank you. That was a great video.
Exactly.
Great information. I want to highlight a few things that were touched on in that video about the Diversity Visa Lottery. I'll explain in English, and then Florence will summarize what I said in French. I want to reemphasize that the Diversity Visa Lottery is free to enter. You shouldn't be paying anyone to enter the lottery. And any payments that you make if you're selected will only be made at the U.S. Embassy. So you don't need to be paying any third parties in connection with the Diversity Visa Lottery. I also want to underscore what the video said about keeping your confirmation number. The embassy or the Department of State will not tell you that you've been selected. You need to use your confirmation number to log in and see that you have been selected. So make sure you keep that confirmation number. Don't lose it. Don't forget it. I also want to underscore what the video said, that being selected for the Diversity Visa Lottery does not guarantee a visa. What it means is that you have the opportunity to interview for a visa. Now, we work really hard here at the U.S. Embassy to see as many of you as we can that win the diversity visa lottery. But when you are selected, you need to interview, and then you need to qualify for the visa. Now, there's two primary ways to qualify. The first way and the easiest way is through education. You have to have completed secondary school education. So you need to have your A levels. Yeah. I'd like to take this moment to encourage you, do not bring us fake A levels. We verify all the A levels that are brought to us. So we'll know if you didn't complete your A levels. The other way that you can qualify is through work experience. You need to have 2 years of qualifying work experience. Now, what does that mean, qualifying work experience? It means there are certain professions that you can look up, and let me tell you the website. It's onetonline.org. If you log on to that website, you search for your profession and see if it is categorized as what we call Job Zone 4 or Job Zone 5. If your profession is in one of those job zones, you may qualify on work experience. I also want to reiterate, when you enter the diversity visa lottery, you need to enter with your entire immediate family. Now, what does that mean? That means if you're married, enter with your spouse. If you have any biological children, any legally adopted children, and any stepchildren, enter with all of them, even if they don't plan to travel to the United States, and even if they're not living with you in your home. And I'd like to go ahead and reiterate that we are looking forward to answering your questions. Feel free to submit them in the Facebook chat. And do we have any questions at this point?
Merci beaucoup Philippe de nous avoir éclairé sur ces questions que nous avions. Et pour résumer ce que l'officier a dit, la première chose, c'est de bien lire les instructions pour pouvoir faire tout ce qui vous est demandé lorsque vous décidez de poser votre candidature pour la loterie américaine. La seconde chose, c'est de bien remplir le formulaire sur le site diversityvisa.state.gov. C'est le seul site habilité à recevoir vos candidatures. La troisième chose, c'est de bien conserver son numéro de confirmation. Lorsque vous conservez votre numéro de confirmation, c'est avec celui-là même que vous pourrez vous connecter de nouveau sur le site pour pouvoir voir si vous avez été sélectionné ou non. Il a également insisté sur le fait que être sélectionné ne vous garantit pas l'interview et ne garantit pas le visa. Et la dernière chose sur laquelle il a voulu insister, c'est que nous devons jouer avec tous les membres de notre famille avec qui il existe un lien biologique ou légal, c'est-à-dire notre époux ou épouse, nos enfants biologiques, nos enfants légalement adoptés ou les enfants de notre conjoint avec qui nous sommes légalement mariés, même si nous ne souhaitons pas immigrer avec eux ou alors s'ils ne vivent pas avec nous. Merci beaucoup et nous attendons vos questions avec impatience. Et je pense que là, nous avons déjà la question de Papi Leleko. What are the photo dimensions?
It's the same as the photo dimensions for a passport photo. So I'd like to take this opportunity to encourage everybody to go to travel.state.gov/DV for the specific information about the requirements for entering the DV lottery. But yeah, it's the same as a passport photo.
Thank you. Comme il a dit, pour la dimension des photos, c'est la même chose que les passeports. Et nous vous invitons à aller sur le site travel.state.gov. Nous avons la seconde question de Paul Smith. S'il vous plaît, est-ce possible de jouer la loterie avec notre téléphone ou bien faut-il forcément aller dans un cyber? Are we obliged to go into an internet coffee to play or can we play with our phone?
You need to enter on a computer. Now, we strongly encourage everybody to enter on their own, to not go use a third party. If you go to a cyber cafe, we encourage you to go enter the DV lottery on your own and not use a third party or some sort of a visa agent. But if you do, use a third party to help you complete the diversity visa application. Make sure that you are monitoring the information that is being put in for you. Make sure that it's accurate because you will be responsible for that information. Thank you. Is that Paul? Thank you, Paul, for that question.
Merci beaucoup, Paul, pour la question. Comme l'officier l'a dit, nous encourageons les personnes qui souhaitent postuler à postuler par eux-mêmes, c'est-à-dire à ne pas avoir recours à une tierce personne qui va entrer les informations à sa place. Mais si vous souhaitez vraiment passer par quelqu'un d'autre, vous devez vous assurer que vous contrôlez les informations qui sont inscrites pour vous à votre place, car vous êtes tenu responsable pour toutes les informations qui sont entrées à votre nom. Nous allons passer à la question de Fritz Longola. What are the requirements needed?
Well, so to enter the DV lottery, again, I'm going to encourage you to go to travel.state.gov/DV to get an exhaustive list of all the requirements. But you'll need to go in, you'll need to log in, you'll need to fill out an application. You'll need photos. You'll need the passport size photos for everyone with whom you are entering the DV lottery. So all the members of your family. It's very important. Make sure you have that. If you're missing those photos and you enter anyway, that could impact your ability to get a visa later.
Thank you so much, Philippe. Est-ce qu'un enseignant fonctionnaire peut jouer? C'est la question de Tsambu Alice. Does a civil servant can play?
Thank you, Alice, for asking that question. Of course, yes, a civil servant is welcome to play. I assume she means a Cameroonian civil servant. Yes, there's no prohibition against that. We welcome you to enter the DV lottery. Thank you.
Okay. Et Marina Kamgeng, c'est possible de jouer sans avoir le passeport? Is it possible to play without a passport?
Marina, thank you for that question. You can enter the DV lottery without being in possession of a passport. Now, of course, if you're selected and you schedule an interview with us, you'll need to bring a passport. And of course, you need a passport for a visa.
Marina Kamgen, comme vous pouvez entendre le consul nous le dire ce jour, il est possible de jouer sans le passeport. Mais lorsque vous êtes sélectionné pour une interview, vous devez venir à l'interview avec votre passeport. We have Joseph Besala. Je n'ai pas obtenu mon visa pour la session de l'année dernière parce que je n'avais pas aligné mon fils dans la procédure. Est-ce qu'il est obligé de l'aligner? J'ai mentionné cela lors de mon entretien. Y a-t-il une possibilité de recours? So Joseph Besala says that last year he went for an interview, but he has been denied a visa because he didn't play with his biological son. And he would like to know if there is a way to have a second chance, or he was obliged to put his son in his application.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Joseph, thanks for asking that question. So this is an important point because there's a lot of confusion around this. And I know this is touched on in the video. I think it's always good to reemphasize this. I'll start with the first part of the question. The diversity visa season for the last year is now closed, so there's not a way to go back and revisit old applications. But we encourage you to enter the diversity visa lottery again, and this time it's important for everyone to understand when you enter, you need to enter with, if you're married, with your spouse, and with all of your biological children, your legally adopted children, and your stepchildren, if you have any stepchildren. I'll go ahead and take this opportunity to reiterate also. I said you should enter with your spouse if you're married. Understand that for us, what that means is a spouse with whom you are legally married. You've had a civil ceremony. So if you've completed like a traditional marriage, a traditional wedding, but that's all you've completed, you need to have the civil ceremony completed if you're going to enter with someone as your spouse. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you so much. La langue anglaise est-elle un facteur important lors des tirages? Are we obliged to speak English to win the diversity visa lottery?
Not at all. No, not at all. Thank you for that question. No, you do not need to speak English to win the diversity visa lottery. You don't need to speak English to come interview with us. We speak French. or we try to at least. So we can conduct your interview in French, and it's no barrier at all. Thank you for that question.
Marina Kamgem, la langue anglaise n'est pas un facteur important. Vous n'êtes pas obligé de parler anglais pour être sélectionné et vous n'êtes même pas obligé de parler anglais lors de votre entretien. On va parler la langue française. Suzanne Noucha, une personne qui n'a pas de baccalauréat et a plus de 20 ans d'expérience professionnelle peut-elle être éligible? Susan would like to know if she doesn't have the advanced level, can she, and has 20 years of experience, work experience, can she apply?
Yeah, okay, Suzanne, good question. And thank you for bringing this up because there's a lot of confusion around this too. As I mentioned earlier, obviously the easiest way to qualify for the diversity visa is having completed your A-levels. If you have not, I don't know what Suzanne's profession is, but what I would say is if you want to investigate this, look at the website onetonline.org. That's the website. It's the publicly available website. It's what we use. Look up your profession. If it is listed as a profession that is called Job Zone 4 or Job Zone 5, you may qualify on work experience, and you only need 2 years of work experience. So with 20 years, you have the years. So, but log onto that website, look up your profession, see if your profession meets those Job Zone 4 or 5 requirements. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Shirley. Pacheli Tombe would like to know, I'm not yet married, but I'm living with my partner. Should I mention that I have a partner when applying, but I have a child? Thanks.
Okay, yeah, that's from Pacheli. Yes, thank you for that. Good question. So it sounds like you're not legally married to your partner, so don't enter and claim your partner as your spouse if you're not legally married. Do enter with your biological child. If you get married in the interim, so after you enter the diversity visa lottery, between that time and when you're selected, if you are selected, if you get married or if you have another child, you can add them at that point. So when you enter with the immediate family that you have at that point in time, spouse and children, and then if your family situation changes in between when you enter and when you're selected, you can update that information.
Okay. Pacheli Tombe, et pour toutes les personnes qui se posent la même question, l'officier vient de dire que si vous n'êtes pas marié avec un partenaire, vous n'avez pas le droit de jouer avec ce partenaire. Mais vous devez, si vous avez des enfants, vous devez absolument jouer avec votre enfant. Et également, il a mentionné le fait que vous ne pouvez pas, lorsque vous avez des enfants plus tard, vous pouvez modifier vos informations après avoir joué lorsque vous êtes sélectionné. Si vous vous mariez légalement, vous pouvez rajouter votre époux dans votre application. Si vous avez un autre enfant, vous pouvez rajouter l'enfant. Mais les enfants que vous avez au moment où vous jouez, vous devez absolument jouer avec eux. Et les conjoints légalement mariés avec lesquels vous vous retrouvez pendant la période où vous devez jouer, vous devez absolument jouer avec ces personnes. Junior Steve voudrait savoir, est-ce que quelqu'un aux États-Unis peut jouer pour vous? Does someone in the US can play for us?
Yeah, Junior, okay, good question. And I think this touches on what we were talking about earlier. I'll reiterate. We encourage everybody to enter the lottery themselves. We encourage you to sit down at the computer, enter the information, upload the photo yourself. But if you have someone in the United States who you trust to do that for you, they can do that. But just be aware, you will be responsible for the information that is put into that application. So.
Mokwa Peters, please, what is the site to check the jobs available with respect to qualification? Regards.
Right. Okay. So thank you. Who's that? Mula Peters. Thank you for that question. Yes. So it's onetonline.org. So that's the letter O, the word net, N-E-T, online, O-N-L-I-N-E.org.
OK. Le site pour pouvoir vérifier si votre expérience professionnelle respecte les critères de qualification pour la loterie américaine est onetonline.org, en un mot. onetonline.org. Et vous devez vous assurer que votre profession rentre dans le Job Zone 4 or job zone 5. Wynken Nelson, please, sir, are we playing with passport or national identity card?
Okay, so that's from Wyncombe Nelson. Thank you for that question. So a similar question was asked earlier. Do you need a passport when you enter the diversity visa lottery? You don't need to have a passport in your possession when you fill out the application for the lottery. You will need a passport if you are selected and you are scheduled for an interview. You will
pouvez jouer avec votre carte d'identité nationale si elle a votre nom, comme c'est écrit sur votre acte de naissance. Vous n'avez pas forcément besoin d'un passeport. Et Frank Olivier Ndokmo, I have a child not recognized. My name is not on his birth certificate. Do I put him in the application? That's an interesting question.
That's a good question. We'll find out the exact answer to this question and we'll circle back. We'll put it somewhere public, maybe on the Facebook. My instinct would be to say that you should add them if you know that it's your biological child. But yeah, we'll find out the exact answer to that and circle back.
Merci beaucoup Nelson pour cette question et nous allons passer à Bertol Foxing. Est-ce qu'on peut mettre n'importe quelle adresse email au moment de remplir le formulaire? Et Stéphanie de Garoua, how to avoid scam during the whole process of application? So we have two questions. The first one, can we put any email address when we apply? Or how can we avoid scams?
Okay, so good question. I think these questions are linked. And this is from Bertol and from Stephanie. Okay, so yeah, so Bertol and Stephanie, thank you for those questions. You can put any email you want in the application. Many times people, I find, do this if they don't have a computer, but they have a friend or a relative who has a computer, who has an email address. So yes, you can put any email in there, but make sure it's an email that you have access to, or that someone that you trust has access to. In terms of avoiding scams, the number one way you can do this is by filling out the application yourself. Keep in mind, you should never be asked to pay to enter the diversity visa lottery. If someone is asking you to pay them to enter, it may be a scam. Or if someone tells you that you can pay them and they can increase your chances of winning the diversity visa lottery, that's a scam. The only time you should be paying money for this is if you come to the U.S. Embassy for an interview.
Okay. L'officier vient de le dire, pour éviter toutes les personnes qui peuvent vous faire du chantage plus tard, c'est de bien sûr jouer vous-même à la loterie américaine, gardez votre numéro de confirmation, vous n'avez aucun frais à payer. Les seuls frais que vous devez payer sont à l'ambassade des États-Unis le jour de votre interview. And we have Juven Juliana. Can I also play with my mother and children together?
Okay. No, Juven Juliana, thank you for that question, because I think there is some confusion around that sometimes. So when you enter the diversity visa lottery, you must enter with your entire immediate family, your spouse, if you have a spouse, your biological children, legally adopted children, and stepchildren. You cannot apply with anyone outside of your immediate family. So you cannot apply with your mother or your father. You cannot apply with your brothers or your sisters. You cannot apply with nieces or nephews. So you must apply with your immediate family, but you cannot apply with anyone outside of your immediate family.
Ok, l'officier qui répondait à la question de Juliana si elle pouvait jouer avec sa mère et ses enfants ensemble, il a répondu que vous pouvez jouer qu'avec les membres de votre famille nucléaire, c'est-à-dire votre époux légalement marié et vos enfants biologiques ou alors légalement adoptés ou les enfants de votre conjoint avec qui vous êtes légalement marié. Vous n'avez pas le droit de jouer avec votre mère, votre père, votre oncle, vos frères et vos sœurs. We have Faith Lydia. Please, do you have higher chances when you play earlier?
That's a good question. Yes. Nife Lydia, thank you for that question. Because that's a good question. I can understand how people might think that that might affect your chances. No, it does not matter when you, as long as you enter, what are the dates again? October 2nd?
October 2nd and November 5th.
To November 5th, right. As long as you need to enter within those dates, but it doesn't matter when you enter within those dates. When the selection is done, it's done by a computer. It's completely random. It does not matter when you enter.
Ok. Cela ne compte pas la période à laquelle vous postulez. Vous devez juste vous assurer que vous postulez entre le 2 octobre et le 5 novembre. Et c'est une sélection qui est faite vraiment au hasard par un ordinateur. Bob Val, can I play separately through married and my wife do same, but we play as couple like double chances for us?
Okay, yes. Bob, thank you for that. That's a good question. That's a good question. So every individual can only enter the lottery one time. Do not enter the lottery yourself more than once, but you can enter the lottery and your wife can also enter the lottery separately. And when you enter, you will put her down as your spouse, and the children you have together, you'll put down as your children, and then she can enter. She will put down you as her spouse, and the children you have together will be the children. So that is okay. Each individual can apply only one time, but if you're a married couple, each of you can apply separately, but include the whole family, as we've said several times.
Ok, l'officier vient de nous dire que lorsque vous êtes un couple légalement marié, chaque individu dans le couple peut jouer séparément. C'est-à-dire que l'époux peut jouer et inclure sa femme et ses enfants dans son application. Et l'épouse, la femme peut également jouer et inclure son époux et les enfants dans l'application. Mais un époux ne peut pas jouer deux fois en tant que candidat principal. And then Malina Sani, s'il vous plaît, je suis musulmane. Est-ce que je peux me filmer avec mon foulard sur la photo? She's a Muslim and she would like to know if she can take a picture with her scarf on her face.
Okay. That's a good question. I don't actually know the answer to that question off the top of my head. I'll find out the answer to that, and we will also post that. But I will emphasize again, if you go to travel.state.gov/DV, they have all that information, including the specifications about the photo.
Exactly. Alors, nous invitons Malina Sani à aller sur le site travel.state.gov pour trouver une réponse plus appropriée à votre question sur le port du foulard lors de la photo officielle pour postuler. And Suseka Franklin, can a police or military play diversity visa?
Okay, Susika Franklin, yes, thank you for that question. Yes, similar to the question about civil servants, yes, if you're a Cameroonian police officer or you're in the Cameroonian military, yes, you can enter the DV lottery. There's no problem with that.
Okay. Bonsoir. Bon, une question qui nous vient de Bob. Faut-il obligatoirement avoir quelqu'un aux États-Unis si vous gagnez? Is it obliged to have a sponsor when you are selected?
Good question. No, you don't need to have a sponsor in the United States. You don't need to know anyone in the United States. That's one of the beauties of the diversity visa lottery. Yeah. There's no need to have family in the US.
Ok, pour pouvoir postuler, vous n'êtes pas obligé d'avoir de la famille aux États-Unis ou quelqu'un qui va sponsoriser votre voyage. C'est ça la beauté en fait du visa de diversité, c'est que vous pouvez entrer par vous-même et bien sûr aller vous installer aux États-Unis. Et nous avons la question de Niobet Bikoy. Y a-t-il un âge requis pour être sélectionné? We have a limited age or a specific age to be selected for the diversity visa.
So to enter, you need to be an adult. You need to be over 18. in that if you are entering with a child, the child needs to be an unmarried child that is 21 years or younger.
OK. Donc, il n'y a pas vraiment d'âge requis, mais vous devez avoir plus de 18 ans. Et si vous avez des enfants, vous devez vous assurer que les enfants que vous mentionnez dans votre application soient des enfants qui ne sont pas mariés et qui ont moins de 21 ans. Merci beaucoup. Nous avons la question d'Élodie et P. Si nous avons des enfants américains, devons-nous jouer avec eux? It's a question from someone who would like to know, from Elodie, who would like to know if she has an American child. Can she play with the child when she's not an American?
Okay, so this is a good question. So thank you, Elodie. So Elodie is a Cameroonian.
Yes.
She has a child who's a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
So we have emphasized many times on this call that if you enter the lottery, you need to enter with your spouse, if you're married, and any biological children. The one exception to this is if you have a spouse or a child who is a U.S. citizen. If you enter with them, you will not be penalized, but you do not need to enter with them.
Okay. Merci beaucoup, Philippe, pour cette réponse. En fait, si nous répondons à la question d'Élodie, l'officier a dit, si vous êtes citoyen camerounais et que vous avez des enfants qui sont des citoyens américains, c'est la seule exception. Vous n'êtes pas obligé de jouer avec les enfants qui sont citoyens américains, mais si vous décidez de jouer avec des enfants qui sont citoyens américains, vous ne serez pas pénalisé pour cela. Donc, la seule exception sur le fait que vous êtes obligé de jouer avec vos enfants biologiques, eh bien, elle est dans le cas où les enfants sont déjà citoyens américains. We have Dieudonné from American Center of Gara, who would like to know, is there any center that takes care of the winner upon their arrival in US, or each winner should take care of him or herself?
Okay, yeah, good question. Who is that?
Dieudonné.
Dieudonné. Yeah, Dieudonné, thank you for that question. The U.S. government does not provide financial assistance to winners. So if you are selected for the lottery and you receive a visa, you will be expected to be able to support yourself.
Okay. Comme l'officier vient de le dire, le gouvernement américain ne va pas sponsoriser votre visa de diversité. Si vous décidez de postuler, vous devez pouvoir vous prendre en charge vous-même. C'est pour ça que tout à l'heure, il a également dit que vous n'avez pas besoin d'un sponsor. Donc, c'est vous-même qui prenez en charge tous vos frais, que ce soit les frais d'interview, si vous avez le visa, les frais de billets d'avion et les frais d'installation aux États-Unis. Nous avons Dianke Derrick. How long after being selected do you have an interview?
Oh, okay. Yes. So the selection is will be in May of next year. So and then we will be okay, let me make sure I get this timeline right. You're entering now. You will find out if you're selected in May of 2025.
Yes.
And then we will be scheduling the interviews from October 1st of 2025 through September of 2026. So that's the period of time for the interviews for this season of the Diversity Visa Lottery that you're entering now.
Ok, l'officier qui répondait à la question de Derrick, qui voulait savoir combien de temps cela prend-il pour avoir une interview lorsqu'on est sélectionné. Et l'officier a bien mentionné que si vous jouez maintenant, et vous allez être au courant des résultats en mai 2025 de l'année prochaine, et les interviews vont se dérouler de octobre 2025 à septembre 2026. Merci beaucoup. L'élève de la vie, that's a nickname, I think. He would like to know, that's in French, mon épouse a eu 2 enfants qui vivent très loin de nous. Comment pourrions-nous les introduire sans possibilité d'avoir leur faute? So, he has a spouse who had 2 children before they got married. And they are not living with the children, and they don't even have access to the children, so they cannot have the picture of those children. So he would like to know, how can he include them in the application?
Okay, yes, so that's a good question, and that's a complicated situation. I would encourage him to reach out to whoever the guardian is of the children, and let that person know that he intends to enter the diversity visa lottery. He needs to include the children of his spouse, his stepchildren, and ask for that person to send him the passport-size photos.
Yeah.
Exactly, and let them know that if he is selected, there is not a requirement that those children travel. They just need to be listed when he enters.
Exactly. Monsieur l'officier vient de répondre à l'élève de la vie et il a bien dit que ça, c'est une situation vraiment délicate, mais vous devriez faire comprendre à la personne qui garde les enfants que vous avez nécessairement besoin des photos des enfants biologiques de votre épouse qui sont devenus vos enfants par alliance. Et vous devez les inclure dans votre application. Et vous devez également faire comprendre à cette personne que vous n'avez pas l'intention de voyager avec les enfants. Parce que rappelez-vous que dans le visa de diversité, vous n'êtes pas obligé de voyager avec toutes les personnes que vous mentionnez comme dans votre famille nucléaire, mais vous êtes obligé de postuler avec eux. Merci beaucoup, Philippe. TB Precious, can two spouses play separately and include their children in their children on both sides? And are there any age limit for your kids to play individually? I think we replied.
So yeah, so this is a good. But this is good to. So I'll say, TB, thank you for asking this, and we'll reiterate. I think I understand what was being asked here. So if you're married, you can enter the diversity visa lottery. You'll mention your spouse and all of your biological children, your legally adopted children, and your stepchildren who are unmarried, age 21 and younger.
Exactly.
Your spouse can do the exact same thing. If you have a child who is a grown child and has completed their A levels who wants to enter as an individual, they're welcome to do that. That's not a problem.
Ok, donc monsieur, ce que le consul est en train de dire, c'est que si dans le cas où nous avons un couple légalement marié et que chacun des partenaires, chacun des conjoints a des enfants avec un autre partenaire qui n'est pas l'époux, c'est que vous devez absolument jouer avec votre époux, avec vos enfants biologiques, ainsi que les enfants de votre époux comme étant les vôtres. Parce que lorsqu'il existe un lien légal, les enfants de votre époux deviennent automatiquement les vôtres. Et il y a également des situations où les enfants avec lesquels vous devez jouer doivent être âgés de moins de 21 ans. Et ne pas être mariés à leur tour. Mais nous avons des cas où, par exemple, on a un enfant de moins de 21 ans qui est inclus dans votre application, mais qui a déjà également son baccalauréat. Il peut être dans votre application, mais il peut également jouer en tant qu'individu. Là, c'est parfaitement autorisé. Et nous avons la question de Tokidan Abraham. Je voudrais savoir si un enfant qui vit avec vous depuis, mais n'est pas votre enfant biologique, peut-il intégrer la liste des enfants sans un document légal d'adoption? So this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
So he would like to know, he's living with a child for a very long time, taking care of him, but he didn't adopt the child. Can he play with the child?
Okay, so yes, Abraham, that's a good question and an important question because we do confront this. I'll reiterate, if you enter, we said you enter with your children, biological children, legally adopted children, and stepchildren. If you have been taking care of a child who's been living with you, but you have not legally adopted that child, unfortunately, you are not able to include that child in your diversity visa application.
Okay.
Thank you.
Et Tokidan Abraham, comme vous avez pu l'entendre, l'officier a dit que même si vous vivez avec un enfant depuis des années, vous prenez soin de l'enfant, vous éduquez l'enfant, tant qu'il n'y a pas de papier d'adoption qui fait de vous le parent adoptif de l'enfant, vous n'avez pas le droit de jouer avec cet enfant-là. Vous n'avez pas le droit. Et we have Meng John Elvis. If you are selected as a family, am I obliged to travel with them or we can go separately?
Okay, so Elvis, thank you for that question. So if you apply as a family, if you apply as a family, and if you're the person who's applying and you bring your family. It depends on exactly what you're asking. You can go and interview with them, but if you choose not to live in the United States later, you can make that choice after you receive the visa and the family receives the visa. If you are applying, so let's say like your spouse applies and puts you down as her spouse and the children down as your children, and then she wins and you say, I just don't want to even go to the interview. I'm not interested. That's okay. That's not a problem.
Yeah. Ok. Philippe vient de le dire, c'est que vous avez l'obligation de jouer avec les membres de votre famille, mais ces derniers ne sont pas obligés de voyager avec vous. Et il a donné un cas précis, le cas dans lequel vous avez un couple légalement marié. Par exemple, la femme a joué avec son mari et les enfants. Mais maintenant, le mari, qui est le bénéficiaire de la sélection de la femme, décide par exemple de ne pas voyager. Il a le droit de ne pas venir à l'interview, ça ne pose aucun problème. Le gagnant principal et les enfants peuvent voyager. Et il y a également le second cas de figure où toute la famille décide de venir à l'interview, mais finalement, les bénéficiaires du cas du gagnant principal décident de voyager plus tard. Mais la seule obligation, c'est que lorsque vous décidez de voyager, c'est le gagnant principal qui doit voyager en premier sur le territoire américain. Donc, vous pouvez soit voyager tous ensemble, soit le gagnant principal peut d'abord voyager et puis la famille suivra plus tard.
But I will clarify, Elvis, if you enter as the principal applicant and you win, you can't send your family to the interview and not come yourself. You need to come to the interview.
Et il vient encore de préciser le fait que si vous êtes le gagnant principal, vous ne pouvez pas refuser de partir et envoyer la famille les membres de votre famille qui sont bénéficiaires. Ça, c'est pas possible. Le gagnant principal doit toujours voyager avant le reste de la famille. Merci beaucoup. Nous avons Belvia Nyota. Les adresses à fournir doivent être celles du pays ou bien ce sont des adresses des États-Unis qu'on doit fournir. Oh, that's interesting. So, when you are applying, like right now, the 5th of November, when you're applying, you have to put your address. Can you put the address of the US or the address of Cameroon?
You can put the address, a US address. That's okay. What's important is if you're applying as someone from Cameroon, you need to be a Cameroonian. But that's okay if you put an address that's a US address.
Ok. Donc, en fait, ce que l'officier vient de dire, c'est que lorsque vous êtes en train de postuler pour le visa de diversité et que vous devez mentionner votre lieu de résidence, vous avez le choix. Vous pouvez mettre votre lieu de résidence au Cameroun ou mettre un lieu de résidence aux États-Unis. Mais la seule obligation, c'est au niveau de la nationalité. Vous devez impérativement mettre votre nationalité. C'est-à-dire que si vous êtes Camerounais, vous mettez que vous êtes Camerounais. Ou si vous êtes d'un autre pays, vous devez absolument mettre la nationalité de ce pays-là. Ok. Nous avons moi, Blaise. I have a question. In the event of being randomly selected, what if the position of name entered when playing is different from the position of name on your passport? Will it cause a problem?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. Yeah, Muablez. Okay, so we understand that sometimes the name order can be different. We need to be able to tell that it's you. So if, we'll see your photo, we'll see your name. If it's spelled the same, but the name order is a little bit different, that normally does not cause a problem. But I strongly encourage you, enter the information on the DV lottery as closely as possible to what is on your passport. The closer those can be, the much better for you. If the information is, the most important thing is that you get your date of birth right. But if the information is too different, we may have to disqualify you on that. So really strive to match the information that you enter with in the DV lottery to what's on your passport.
À la question sur l'ordre des noms que notre internaute posait, à savoir si l'ordre du nom doit être impérativement comme celui égal à celui mentionné dans le passeport. L'officier voudrait dire que vous devez faire des efforts pour vous assurer que votre nom, soit le plus près possible de l'ordre qui sera dans votre passeport. Mais il peut comprendre qu'il y a des situations où l'ordre de nom peut être différent, ça peut être compris, mais nous devons nous assurer qu'il s'agit de vous, que votre photo match celle qui est dans l'application, votre date de naissance soit égale à celle qui est sur l'application et que votre nom soit vraiment le plus proche de celui qui est dans votre passeport. Cela peut peut amener l'officier peut-être à vous disqualifier si l'écart entre votre nom sur le passeport et le nom avec lequel vous avez joué est trop grand. Donc faites très attention lorsque vous rentrez les noms. Et nous avons également Didier Niat. Quels sont les motifs pour lesquels, après avoir gagné la loterie, nous ne pouvons pas être sélectionnés pour l'interview ou se voir refuser le visa américain? Can you please list the reason why someone can be selected and he doesn't have an interview or he's denied visa?
Okay, so these are sort of separate questions. And who has the Didier? Didier, thank you for that question. Like we said at the beginning, if you are selected for the DV lottery, that does not guarantee you an interview. It means you have the opportunity to apply for an interview, to schedule an interview. And we try to schedule as many people who win as possible. And we interview a lot of people. We work really hard to do that. We're not able to interview everybody, but we interview as many as we can, and we interview a lot. If you are given an interview and you come and you interview with us, if you're disqualified, if you don't receive the visa, it's because you don't meet the qualifications. And the two biggest reasons for that are, number one, you don't have the education or work experience required. So you didn't complete the baccalaureate, or you don't have a profession that meets the requirements on the onetonline.org, or you did not properly list your family when you enter. We've said this many times, and I'll reiterate it again. When you enter with your spouse, your legal spouse, if you have one, and any children, biological children, legally adopted children, any stepchildren. Oftentimes people will be disqualified because they'll add someone later, or we discover they had left someone off.
Exactly. Alors, l'officier a bien mentionné que ils font tout ce qui est en leur pouvoir pour recevoir le maximum de personnes pour les interviews, mais malheureusement, ils ne peuvent pas recevoir tout le monde. Et ce qui est vraiment dommage, mais ils font le maximum d'efforts possibles pour recevoir la majorité des personnes. Et ils voudraient également dire que la raison pour laquelle le visa peut être refusé est le fait que soit vous n'avez pas joué avec tous les membres de votre famille et on a découvert plus tard que en fait vous aviez des enfants, ou bien vous avez un époux avec lequel vous étiez marié, vous n'avez pas joué avec, ou alors vous ne remplissez pas les critères en termes d'éducation ou d'expérience professionnelle. Pour l'éducation, vous devez impérativement avoir le baccalauréat. Et pour l'expérience professionnelle, vous devez vraiment regarder le site travel.state.gov ou également le site aunetonline.org. Exactement. Nous avons Fidélie Mvondo. J'aimerais comprendre pourquoi le fait de gagner ne garantit pas le visa. Why, when we win, the visa is not guaranteed?
Okay, good question, and I know this is a topic that comes up a lot. We were just speaking about this, and that's because there's a common misconception that being selected from the lottery means you automatically get a visa, and that's not true. What that means is you are now, for all the people in Cameroon who were selected, it means those are all the people who have the opportunity to schedule an interview for a visa with the U.S. Embassy. And of course, we try very hard to interview as many of those people as possible. We interviewed a record number of people this past year, so we worked really hard to do that.
Yeah. Il voudrait dire que le fait d'être sélectionné ne garantit pas le visa, parce que déjà, il y a un nombre limité de visas chaque année. Pour la précision, c'est 55 000 visas pour le monde entier. Donc, il y a beaucoup plus de personnes qui peuvent gagner, mais qui n'ont pas la chance d'obtenir un rendez-vous. Mais ils font tout ce qui est en leur pouvoir pour pouvoir recevoir le maximum de personnes, mais malheureusement, ce n'est pas toujours le cas. Donc, ça ne garantit ni l'interview, ni le visa, malheureusement. Et nous avons Célestin Dieft. Est-ce qu'un monsieur polygame peut-il jouer de façon distincte 2 fois avec chacune de ses épouses et ne pas risquer d'être disqualifié? So that's a really interesting one.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it in English.
Yes, he's someone who has 2 spouses, because in Cameroon polygamy is valid. So he has 2 spouses and he would like to play 2 times with different spouses. So one application with a spouse and another one with another spouse. That's the question. But we can extend that question. Maybe the spouse can play on 2 occasions with him as a beneficiary.
Yeah, this is a good question. I don't think I've confronted this. So I'll say at the outset, I don't know the exact answer. I'll find out, and we'll post this online. Yeah. My suspicion is normally with the way this is handled is the spouse who is married first is considered the spouse, but I don't know exactly. I will say what you cannot do. From who's this from Celestine?
Yes,
Celestine. What you cannot do, you cannot enter yourself and then have a spouse, and then enter a second time with another spouse, because now you've entered twice.
Yeah.
And every individual can only enter one time.
Yeah.
With regards to your spouse, your 2 spouses entering twice with you, we will. Okay. I'll look into that. My suspicion is the answer is no, but we'll find out and we'll post that online.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
On va inviter Célestin. On va revenir plus tard vers Célestin pour répondre à sa question. Mais déjà, l'officier a bien dit que Célestin ne peut pas jouer 2 fois et inclure la première fois une épouse et la seconde fois une seconde épouse. Ça, c'est pas possible. Il sera automatiquement disqualifié par le système parce que chaque individu ne peut jouer qu'une seule fois. Mais dans le cas où chacune des épouses décide de jouer en incluant Célestin dans l'application, là, il va revenir avec la question. Il va revenir avec la réponse. Et nous avons Carlos. S'il vous plaît, sur quel site joue-t-on à la loterie? What is the website?
Yes. Okay. So go to it's dvprogram.state.gov. So I'll read that again. DV for diversity visa. DV program program .state.gov.
Ok, Carlos, le site sur lequel on peut jouer à la loterie, c'est dvprogram.state.gov. Mahamat Saleh Mahamat, si je joue en tant que célibataire et je me marie avant la sélection, est-ce que je peux ajouter mon partenaire dans la DS 260? If he plays as a single and then he married before May when the results are public, can he add the wife in the DS 260?
Yeah, okay, good question. Is that from Mahamat? Mahamat, yes. Thank you, Mahamat, for that question. And yeah, that's important because we continue to reiterate that when you enter, you need to enter with all of your immediate family. But we understand that things change after you enter. You might get married. You might have another child. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. When you see that you're selected in May, if you have gotten married in between when you applied, and we can see the date that you applied, so we'll know if you get married in between the date that you apply and the date that you're selected, you can add your spouse. It's the same if you have a child. Between when you enter and when you're selected, if you have a child, you can add the child. That's not a problem.
Ok, Mahamat, pour répondre à votre question, vous avez parfaitement le droit d'ajouter votre partenaire après, lorsque vous vous mariez, après avoir postulé à la loterie américaine. vous pouvez ajouter votre partenaire plus tard. Et dans le même ordre d'idée, si vous avez des enfants après avoir postulé, vous pouvez les ajouter plus tard dans votre DS 260. We have Andrew Collins. What if someone at the time of entry has kids, but didn't mention it on the entry form and is later selected? Can the person now include the kids on the DS264?
Okay, Andrew, thanks for that question. So, you need to add your kids when you enter. That's the answer to that. So, the requirement is when you enter the DV lottery, add your play with your legal spouse and any biological children, legally adopted children, or stepchildren that you have.
Thank you so much. And for Ayang Miranda, please, if you are in the process of getting married legally, can you put your fiancé name on the application?
Okay, so yeah, Miranda, so good question. So and this is important. You know, we need to look at the timing here. So there's going to be a date on your marriage certificate, on your acte de mariage. If you don't have a marriage certificate in your hand when you enter the DV lottery, then enter as single. And don't worry, because if you're selected in May and you got married in that time, you can just add your spouse.
Exactly.
But don't, if you say, well, I'm getting married next month, I'll put down my fiancé as my spouse. Don't do that, because that's wrong. He's not your spouse yet. Just wait until you get selected.
Exactly. So, Ayang Miranda, vous n'avez pas, si vous avez un fiancé ou un partenaire avec qui vous n'êtes pas marié, vous n'avez pas le droit de jouer avec lui tant que vous n'êtes pas marié légalement. Donc, dans le cadre, à l'interview, les officiers sauront toujours si vous n'étiez pas marié au moment où vous avez joué. And we have Roland Steve. Pouvons-nous avoir une simulation d'enregistrement sur votre site, c'est-à-dire voir comment vous mentionnez les informations et la taille des photos requises? So you would like to have like a simulation on the website, so how the steps to enter the application.
Okay, so this is from Roland?
From Roland.
Roland. Okay, Roland. Thank you for that question. There isn't a simulation exactly in that I assume by simulation you mean the application itself, and you can fill it out, but it doesn't do anything. There's nothing like that. But I'll give the website again. travel.state.gov/DV has all the information about the diversity visa lottery. It has step-by-step exactly what you will do, what you'll need, what the requirements are, very detailed information about the photos. Everything that you will need to successfully apply is on that website. So I encourage you to go on there and read everything there.
Ok, l'officier nous encourage à aller sur le site travel.state/DV, travel.state.gov/DV, pour avoir toutes les informations sur comment postuler à la loterie américaine. Pour Ali Mohamed Bichara, est-ce qu'un étranger peut jouer à partir du Cameroun? Can a permanent resident in Cameroon from any country of the world can play in Cameroon?
It can be complicated, but you need to play for the country of your birth. Okay. So if you are from, I don't want to say a country that it's not all countries are qualified. But if you're from a qualifying country, but it's not Cameroon, say that you're from that country. There's a few exceptions. If you are married, legally married to a Cameroonian, then you can enter with your country being Cameroon. But generally speaking, even if you are living here and you're a legal resident, but you are a citizen of a different country and you were born in a different country, enter the DV lottery saying you're from the country where you're from, where you were born.
L'officier dit que un étranger peut jouer au Cameroun, mais il doit mentionner qu'il est un ressortissant de ce pays étranger. Peu importe le pays duquel vous venez, lorsque vous entrez dans la loterie, vous devez mentionner que vous êtes originaire de ce pays-là et non du Cameroun. Et nous avons Orly Gulili. Bonsoir. Si j'ai 16 ans et que j'ai mon baccalauréat, puis-je jouer à la loterie? This is Orly Gulli. She said, if I'm 16 years old and I have baccalaureate, can I play to the American lottery?
Yeah, yes, yeah. So because I think I said earlier you need to be 18, but that's actually not correct. Yes, you can play if you're 16 and you have the baccalaureate. That's not a problem.
Ok. So, Orly, vous pouvez jouer si vous avez 16 ans et que vous avez votre baccalauréat. Donc, vous pouvez postuler. Et we have Eric Magno. Il faut se coiffer avant de jouer ou on peut jouer étant barbu et gagner. So, that's Eric.
Okay.
He has a bird, like a bird.
A beard, yeah.
And he would like to know if he needs to remove the
To shave
bird, to shave it before taking the picture and apply, or he can apply with the bird.
Okay, yeah. Eric, we don't want to tell you. No, you don't have to shave your beard. If you're planning to shave your beard before you come for your interview, we need to be able to look at the photo and see that it's you. Yeah. So, but if you're a person with a beard, I've got a beard, I'm not going to shave it for an interview. So if you have a beard and you take a picture with a beard, it's not a problem.
Yeah. Okay. So, Eric, vous êtes libre de postuler avec votre barbe et vous êtes libre de ne pas enlever votre barbe lorsque vous venez à l'interview. Donc, nous avons juste besoin de savoir si la personne qui a joué, la photo de la personne qui a joué, est la même personne qui est là à l'interview. Okay. So, we have Cholo Reeves Mallet. If I postulate for the program while in Cameroon, and it happens that I'm selected, but now in a different country, does it mean I am disqualified?
No. Let's see. So, yes. Okay. Well, let me make sure I understand the question. So, if you are a Cameroonian and it doesn't matter if you apply and you're living in Cameroon or you're living in some other country. You have a Cameroonian passport, you were born in Cameroon, you enter as a Cameroonian, and you win, and you are somewhere else in the world, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We'll schedule if we schedule you an interview, it'll be here in Yaoundé, but it's okay that you're somewhere else.
Ok. So, alors vous pouvez vivre n'importe où dans le monde, mais postuler en tant que Camerounais, parce que vous êtes ressortissant du Cameroun. Donc, vous pouvez avoir votre interview au Cameroun et vous pouvez même avoir une interview dans le pays dans lequel vous résidez. He can have an interview there, but will be interviewed as a Cameroonian.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. So, we have Roland Steve. Bonsoir, ma question concerne le diplôme requis pour postuler. Si on a le diplôme, faut-il aussi avoir les 2 années d'expérience demandées? So, Roland has baccalaureate, but he would like to know if he also need the experience in addition to the baccalaureate.
No, Roland, thank you for that question. If you have the baccalaureate, you have the qualification you need.
Okay. Donc, Roland, si vous avez déjà le baccalauréat, vous n'avez plus besoin d'expérience professionnelle. J'aimerais savoir si un Nigérian marié à une Camerounaise peut immigrer aux États-Unis en cas de sélection, vu que le Nigeria n'est plus éligible à la green card. So we have Christian, he's a Nigerian, a country which is not eligible,
right? And
he's married to a Cameroonian. Can he place and put the country of his wife?
So this is the one time when you can do that. Yes. So if you are legally married to a Cameroonian, you can enter and select the country that you're applying from as Cameroon.
Ok. C'est la seule exception au fait que vous devez jouer avec votre pays de nationalité. Lorsque vous êtes ressortissant d'un pays qui n'est pas éligible pour le programme, mais votre conjoint légalement marié est ressortissant d'un pays qui est éligible, vous pouvez présenter le pays de votre conjoint avec qui vous êtes légalement marié comme étant le vôtre et postuler au programme. We have Larissa Kemwe. Est-ce qu'il y a une période favorable pour jouer et espérer gagner? Already answered. She acknowledged that you already answered the question.
That's okay.
So it's okay.
That's okay.
And then, si j'ai déjà eu un refus de visa au travers de la loterie américaine, suis-je encore éligible pour jouer dans les prochains jours? So, she has been denied visa in the past.
Okay.
And she would like to know if she can still apply and have an interview. Can she have a visa? Or?
Okay, so I'll say it was Larissa.
Larissa.
Larissa, thank you for that question. See, generally the answer is yes. It depends on exactly why you were disqualified, as long as you didn't, say, commit fraud when you came in for the first time. But if we had mentioned earlier, the two most common reasons why people are disqualified is because they don't have the education or work experience that they need, or when they entered, they did not enter with their whole family. If that has happened, and then you say, okay, but then you gain the education qualification. Let's say you complete your A levels. You didn't have the baccalaureate when you played last time. Now you have it. You can enter with it. Or if you were disqualified, if you refused the visa because you were married and you didn't add your spouse, just enter again and add your spouse. Now you know, and that's perfectly fine.
Thank you so much, Philippe. Et Philippe, il vient de dire que si le visa vous avez déjà été refusé lors des précédentes interviews, tant que vous n'avez pas commis de fraude, c'est-à-dire vous n'avez pas présenté de faux documents, vous n'avez pas menti sur votre statut marital, etc., vous pouvez encore jouer. Et il a pris un exemple. Imaginons que le refus précédent était dû au fait que vous n'aviez pas l'éducation requise, c'est-à-dire vous n'aviez pas le baccalauréat. Après, des années passent, vous obtenez votre baccalauréat, vous postulez et vous revenez pour une interview. Bien sûr que il y a de fortes chances que le visa vous soit accordé parce que maintenant vous remplissez les critères en matière d'éducation. Donc vous êtes libre de jouer autant de fois, même si le visa vous avait été refusé par le passé. Amadou Zakar, is there a number of places allocated to Cameroon? If so, how many 7% of the available 50,000 DB number?
Yes, so that's the maximum that a particular country can be given. So, so no more than 7% of the 50,000 diversity visas that are allocated annually can go to Cameroonians.
So he would like to know maybe the number, like 7% of 50,000.
So let me see, 7% of 100,000 is going to be 700, right? So probably 350.
Yes.
That's the math. I'm pretty sure that's the math.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And it's not 50,000 diversity visas. It's 55. So that's almost the math. It's close to that.
Okay. So we have Elisabeth Semjok Lokmo. Combien de temps avons-nous pour voyager après?
Wait, sorry, the math is wrong. 7% of 100,000 is 7,000.
Oh,
so then half of that is 3,500. It's about 350 sounded too low.
Yeah.
It's about 3,500.
Okay. 3,000, so environ 3,500 visas pour le Cameroun.
Right, yeah.
Donc, imaginez, voilà pourquoi l'officier insistait sur le fait que ça ne garantit pas l'interview, car nous avons beaucoup plus de personnes qui gagnent que de visas disponibles.
Yes. That's why I'm not a professional mathematician.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much, Philippe. And we have Elisabeth. Combien de temps avons-nous pour voyager après obtention du visa? So this is a case where someone has a visa, and she would like to know how long does it take for her to leave Cameroon and go to the US before the visa expires?
The visa, I believe, is generally good for 6 months.
Yeah.
It's normally based on your medical exam.
Exactly.
So it's good for a couple of months.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave right away, but you also can't wait around for years.
Yeah.
The visa will expire. You'll have a couple of months to get your affairs in order.
Exactly.
And
L'officier vient de dire que lorsque vous obtenez un visa, généralement, la validité du visa est égale à la validité des résultats d'examen médicaux. Donc, généralement, c'est 6 mois. Donc, vous pouvez, si vous obtenez, disons, le visa ce mois et que vous avez encore 6 mois, vous pouvez voyager dans 3 mois, dans 4 mois, tant que le visa est valide. Mais vous n'avez pas le droit d'attendre 7 mois ou 1 an avant de voyager parce qu'il va expirer. Donc, généralement, il faudrait que vous voyagez et que vous arrivez aux États-Unis avant que votre visa expire. Junior Steve, can a technician working for the US Embassy apply?
So, Junior, thanks for that question. And so there's maybe a couple of I'm not that question could mean a couple of things, and so I'll answer what. So, working for the U.S. Embassy does not mean you can absolutely apply for the diversity visa lottery if you work for the U.S. Embassy. If you're asking, can you qualify on that work experience, you'd have to look that up Of course, if you have the baccalaureate, you have the qualification you need.
Exactement. Le fait de travailler pour l'ambassade américaine ne garantit pas que vous allez obtenir un visa, non. Mais si vous estimez que vous remplissez les critères en matière d'éducation, vous pouvez postuler, ou en matière d'expérience professionnelle, en fonction des critères mentionnés sur honnêteonline.org, vous pouvez postuler. We have le don Intundi. When someone wins and get their visa, at what moment do they receive their green card?
Okay, yeah, it's an interesting question, actually. Yeah, the logistics of getting the green card. So let's say you enter, you're selected, you're interviewed, and you get the visa. You will provide to us before your interview or about the time of your interview an address in the United States, and then when you'll get the visa in your passport. They'll travel to the United States, and when you enter, then the U.S. government knows you're here, and they will mail the green card to the address that you gave us.
Ok, merci beaucoup, Etundi Léon. En fait, l'officier est en train de dire que lorsque vous obtenez votre visa et que vous voyagez pour les États-Unis, lorsque le gouvernement américain saura que vous êtes déjà aux États-Unis, les services d'immigration vont vous envoyer votre carte verte à l'adresse que vous aurez mentionnée aux États-Unis. So, si quelqu'un, Monique Nadej would like to know if someone has been selected last year, can he play this year?
Okay, Monique, thank you for that question. I assume what Monique means is, well, I'll just say the answer is yes. If you were selected, but were not able to get interviewed, yes, you can absolutely apply again. If you were selected but refused your visa, if you weren't qualified, you're absolutely welcome to enter. And if you're selected, the qualification will need to now be there. Whatever disqualified you before will need to be corrected.
Okay. So, pour répondre à Monique, l'officier voudrait dire que même si Monique a été sélectionnée l'an passé, elle peut encore jouer cette année. C'est-à-dire que tant que vous n'avez pas votre visa dans le passeport, parce que le fait d'être sélectionné ne garantit pas que vous aurez l'interview et ne garantit pas que vous aurez le visa. Donc, on vous invite à postuler autant de fois, chaque année, de postuler chaque année. We have Wayne Nelson, sir. Is there any advantage for the handicap?
Okay, Wenkem, thank you for that question. Obviously, being handicapped doesn't impact your selection or not, but there's not an additional boost or a benefit given to someone who has a handicap.
Ok. Alors, pour une personne qui vit avec un handicap, il n'y a pas vraiment d'avantage ou de désavantage. Encourageons toutes les personnes à postuler, qu'elles soient handicapées ou pas. So we have Adamu Yaya. Greeting. Can someone whose application was once disqualified still apply and have chances of being selected again?
Okay, Adamu, thank you for that question. So I would say generally the answer is yes, but I would say it depends on why you were disqualified. So if you were disqualified because you didn't have the proper education, but now you do, that's no problem. If you were disqualified because you didn't add all of your family like you were supposed to, you can apply again, and this time add all of your family. Now, on occasion, sometimes people are disqualified because they do something they're not supposed to, like commit fraud. And that might affect your ability to qualify in the future.
Ok. Voilà, l'officier est en train de dire que même si une personne a été disqualifiée par le passé, elle peut encore avoir des chances d'être sélectionnée dans deux cas de figure. Si elle ne remplissait pas les critères d'éducation et que maintenant elle remplit les critères d'éducation, là, elle peut postuler et recevoir un visa. Si, par exemple, elle n'a pas mentionné les membres de sa famille et a joué une nouvelle fois, et dans ce cas, maintenant, elle a mentionné les membres de la famille, elle peut recevoir le visa. Ou alors, la seule petite exception peut être dans le cas où vous avez soumis des faux documents ou des fausses déclarations devant l'officier. Là, par exemple, votre dossier peut avoir des petits problèmes et ça peut vous impacter négativement lors du processus d'obtention d'un visa. We have Ekane Kwele. Is traditional marriage not recognized?
Ekane, right? Yes, thank you for that question. So I do want to address traditional marriage because this comes up a lot. For
Yes, no. Yeah, I
Okay.
understand.
Okay, I think. Okay, very good. Sorry, we cut out for a second, but now we're back. So we were talking about traditional marriage.
Yeah.
If you're traditionally married, don't enter as married. Only if you have been civilly married. Exactly.
So, Ekane, comme vous pouvez le comprendre, le mariage traditionnel et le mariage religieux ne sont pas reconnus comme étant des mariages légaux. Uniquement le mariage civil peut vous permettre de postuler avec votre époux. Mais si vous n'êtes pas encore marié, vous pouvez postuler comme une personne célibataire et lorsque vous êtes sélectionné, vous mariez avec cette personne et l'ajouter dans votre dossier. Nous avons Walters. He's thank us for taking the time to do this. When will you begin interviewing the 2025 winners?
The 2025 winners. Okay. Yeah. Well, so for the 2025 winners, we've already begun.
Yeah.
That started 2 days ago on October 1st. Of course, we will be interviewing the 2026 winners. So just to be clear, because this can be confusing, right now you can enter the DV lottery for 2026, and we will begin interviewing those winners on October 1st of 2025. But for the 2025 winners, we're already interviewing them.
OK. Pour les personnes qui ont gagné en 2025, les officiers sont déjà en train de les interviewer en ce moment précis. Ça a commencé il y a 2 jours, le 1er octobre. Mais si vous jouez maintenant, vous allez être sélectionné pour l'année 2026. Et les interviews vont commencer en octobre 2025 et vont s'achever en septembre 2026. And we have Marius. Please, affidavit of support needed for DV interview.
Marius, thank you for that question. That's a good question because most immigrant visas do require an affidavit of support, but for diversity visa, you do not.
Pour le visa de diversité, vous n'avez pas besoin d'affidavit of support, c'est-à-dire les documents de différents sponsors qui peuvent vous recevoir aux États-Unis. Vous n'en avez pas besoin. Isaka would like to know if he can play at 60 years old.
Issachar? Yes, you can. That's no problem.
Oui, vous pouvez jouer à 60 ans. Et est-ce qu'une fois sélectionné, quelqu'un aux États-Unis peut gérer certains dossiers à la procédure? Can someone in the US, when you are selected, someone in the US can manage everything about the process?
Can someone manage everything about the process? So I'll reiterate that we do encourage the people who enter. We do encourage everyone who enters to enter the lottery themselves, to fill everything out themselves. But if you're not able to, if you have someone in the United States who you trust to do that for you, you can do that. They can do that.
Nous encourageons chaque personne à vraiment suivre sa procédure elle-même, mais dans le cas où vous pouvez avoir quelqu'un en qui vous avez pleinement confiance, vous êtes libre de procéder comme il vous convient, mais nous encourageons les gens à faire tout eux-mêmes. And we have Joey Balthazar. Est-ce que 2 jumeaux identiques peuvent jouer à la loterie? So he has an identical twin.
Okay.
He would like to know if he can play separately from his identical twin because of the picture.
Yes, yes, you can play separately from your identical twin. That doesn't disqualify you. We may ask some questions about your identical twin if you come for an interview, but no, that is not a disqualification. You both can play separately.
Ok, des jumeaux identiques peuvent jouer séparément. Oui, en tant qu'individu, cela ne disqualifie pas du tout. And we are so happy to receive everyone. Please, Philip, do you have any last tip that you would like to tell us before we end the session?
I just want to say, well, I'll just reiterate, like we've been saying, we encourage you to apply on yourself for yourself. Don't forget, apply with all of your immediate family members, spouse if you're married, children, legally adopted children, and stepchildren, and make sure you're qualifying either with education or with work experience. And all the answers to your questions can be found at travel.state.gov/DV. So definitely go to that website and read everything you can.
Thank you so much, Philippe. Thank you so much to educate us about what we can do to have a successful application. So we thank every viewer from around the world, every viewer from Cameroon, from the American corner of Gara, Boya, and Douala for joining us today. And we would like to invite all of you to continue to interact with us on our different page on the social media, the U.S. Embassy page here on Facebook, the U.S. Embassy website, travel.state.gov/DV for any information about DV, and the email address of the consular section, consular@state.gov. You can write to us so for any inquiry related that you may have related to any type of visa that you have. So for all of you that the officer could not reply to the question, you are free to contact us to consular@state.gov. Thank you so much, Philippe.
Thank you, Florence.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Bye.